G'day bike riders, welcome to another video about bicycle infrastructure. With the upcoming council elections, I thought it would be timely to do a bit of investigative journalism to see what the sitting councillors have done for active transport in Geelong over the last few years. I'm the Bike Route Buddy, bringing you bicycle infrastructure reviews from Geelong and further afield. With the council elections looming in October, it is time to put together a guide on the City of Greater Geelong incumbents and seeing what position they have held on supporting or stopping bicycle infrastructure development in and around Geelong. The Transport Accident Commission put up $6.3 million to develop protected bicycle lanes for an east-west link, a west link and a southern bike link to allow people to get into central Geelong safely by bike. Let's review the councillors' positions on these projects. We thought we'd start off with the Green Spine project that runs along Mallop Street between Jerringham Street and Garden Street. When finished, this will provide a solid east-west link through the central business district for bikes. The narrowing of the street, wider footpaths, street trees and bike lanes will calm traffic and make the area a more attractive place to be. According to Revitalising Central Geelong, the Green Spine project is transforming central Geelong with a vibrant linear park along the length of Mallop Street, connecting Johnston Park and Eastern Park. Cities around the world are embracing linear parks to support health and well-being. Once complete, nearly a hectare of new green space will be added to the Geelong CBD, as well as more than 10,000 plants and trees. The project will reclaim Mallop Street as a pedestrian and active transport zone, providing enhanced alfresco and social opportunities, safer cycling route spanning the length of the Green Spine, and delivering a unique and distinctive streetscape showcasing Geelong's UNESCO City of Design status. Block 2 between Yarra Street and Moorabool Street was completed in 2018, Block 1 in 2021 and Block 3 in 2023. Block 4 to 6 is still in concept design. Until it is complete all the way along Mallop Street from Johnston Park to Eastern Park, it is still a bike lane to nowhere, so it won't really reach its full potential until it is complete. So let's see what the councils had to say about the project. After Block 2 had been completed, a motion was proposed in February 2020 to remove the separated bike lane from the north side of Mallop Street, reinstalling vehicle turning lanes at the intersections of Mallop Street and Yarra Street and Mallop Street and Moorabool Street, increasing on-street 2-hour parking car parks on Mallop Street between Moorabool Street and Yarra Street without compromising taxi services, ensuring Block 1 of the Green Spine between Jerringham Street and Moorabool Street does not include a separated bike lane on the north side. As there is still parking on the outside of the bike lane on the northern side, only about 3 more spaces would probably be reinstated. There are huge multi-storey car parks on both sides of Mallop Street, so adding 3 or 4 spaces on the north side of Mallop Street would have no impact. So who was behind the motion? Well, Councillor E. Contell moved the motion and then it was supported by Councillors Aitken, Sullivan and Nelson. It was also supported by Councillors Asher and Grisbeck, who are not standing again, so we won't include them in the analysis. Let's listen to what Councillor E. Contell had to say.
But what we do know is that during various times of the day, particularly peak hour traffic in Mallop Street comes to a complete standstill and exposes pedestrians to significant hazards and risks. And actually, I think, I've said it before, the pedestrian crossing between Westfield and Market Square in my opinion, is the most dangerous crossing we have in Geelong due to its unpredictability.
I fail to understand how traffic going slow causes a danger to pedestrians, and how adding more car parking and increasing speed along here will improve pedestrian safety.
In fact, we are wanting to build into this notice of motion an opportunity where pedestrians, cyclists and vehicles, light vehicles, can work and move in harmony while still retaining all of the great...
Pedestrians, vehicles and cyclists working together in harmony? Well, that is novel, because that works so well everywhere else. The Dutch worked this out 40 years ago and installed protected bike lanes across their cities, and we're still having this debate. Councillor Peter Murray voted against the motion to rip out the protected lanes. Councillors Harwood, Mason, Manane and Mansfield are not running again, so we won't include them. But let's listen to what Councillor Peter Murray had to say.
It's a great example of urban infrastructure. It's making central Geelong an enjoyable place for all pedestrians and cyclists. We shouldn't be advocating for more cars. All the progressive cities of the world advocate for its city centres to be more cyclists, more pedestrians. It's the pedestrians who spend the money, not the cars travelling through east-west. To rip part of this up would be a backward step. And really, for an extra, well, I don't know how many other parking bays you could get in there 2 hours. There's already 10 there on the northern side. So I don't know how many more you need. We must stay positive, keep a progressive approach and continue to making Geelong a livable city. Let's keep the greening livability program running and moving forward.
So after this vote, the state government took control of the Green Spine project and took it out of council's hands. The Victorian government has moved to protect the award-winning Geelong Green Spine from the local council's wrecking ball. It is preparing to declare Mercer and Garden Streets a designated state road project and take over control from the council under the Victoria's Road Management Act. I think they mean Mallop Street between Mercer Street and Garden Street, but anyway. The state government has instructed the council not to undertake any work that is not in line with the Mallop Street Green Spine project, designed by Outlines Landscape Architecture. The first stage of the project was completed in 2018 and won a Landscape Architecture Award for Civil Landscape at the National Landscape Architecture Awards in October 2019. The government's move follows the council's decision to remove the bike lanes and reinstate the turning lanes at a cost of $2 million. Due to the actions of councillors Aitken, Econtel, Sullivan and Nelson, Geelong's main street was taken out of local government hands and controlled by the state government from afar in Melbourne. Before we move on to the next project that was voted down, give this video a like and click on the subscribe button. Let's look at another piece of bicycle infrastructure, the Southern Bike Link Stage 2. The Southern Bike Link was planned as a protected bike lane between Geelong Central Business District and Warren Ponds along Jerringap, Carr, Moorabool and High Streets. It would also have created great active transport opportunities to get to the shops and services along Belmont High Street and potentially to the Warren Ponds Shopping Centre and the LeisureLink Aquatic Centre. Stage 1 was completed in 2022 from Central Geelong to the Barwon River as part of the $6.3 million Building Better Bike Connections project funded by the Transport Accident Commission. The TAC pledged $2.3 million towards the construction of Stage 2, with the City of Greater Geelong to fund the additional $769,000. City of Greater Geelong's councillors voted on 26th of July 2022 to defer a decision to grant the contract for the final stage of the Southern Link from the Barwon River to Warren Ponds via Belmont. Planning for the cycling corridor was first approved in 2018, with funding announced the following year. However, the project had faced considerable setbacks since then. The project was fully designed, fully funded, and the contract to build was just about to be awarded to the successful tenderer in 2022 in July. So let's have a look at the councillors' positions on this one. On July 26, 2022, Councillor Nelson moved and Councillor Aitken seconded a motion that Council defer consideration of the report until the 23rd of August Council meeting. The vote was finally undertaken on the 22nd of November 2022, a deferral of 4 months, not just 1 month. Again, Councillor Peter Murray seconded the motion to award the contract that was moved by Councillor Belinda Maloney. An alternate motion to not award the contract to build Stage 2 was moved by Councillor Nelson and seconded by Councillor Aitken and was carried. Unfortunately, there are no records in the minutes on which way the other councillors voted. We do have a bit of footage from Councillor Nelson and Aitken though.
And we need to make sure that we build the right paths, right bike paths in the right places. The TAC's on board and the Department of Transport's on board. And we'll get the community on board and we'll build the right bike paths in the right places for everyone. Thanks, Mr Mayor.
We were left with was that a proposal where we had no winners and losers, we actually had losers and losers.
This has left the project dead in the water, and although it was only meant to be a pause, it has now been paused for nearly 2 years. So, of the incumbents that are running in 2024, Councillors Aitken, Contel, Sullivan and Nelson all voted to rip up the bike lanes in the Green Spine. Councillors Nelson and Aitken also led the motion to not award the contract to construct the Southern Bike Link Stage 2. Let's listen to Councillor Aitken again.
We were left with was that a proposal where we had no winners and losers, we actually had losers and losers.
I'm not sure how calm traffic, street trees, wider footpaths and protected bike lanes is a lose-lose situation. Let's look at the individual incumbent candidates and what other actions they have taken. Councillor Aitken, who was running in Corio and voted to remove the protected bike lanes on the north side of Mallop Street on Block 2, and voted to not install a protected bike lane on the north side of Block 1, which still only has a car door zone of death bike lane to this day. He also seconded a motion to not award the contract to build Southern Bike Link Stage 2. Councillor Aitken has not engaged at all with Bike Geelong in any method of communication. Councillor E. Contell, who is running the Hamlin Heights ward, like Councillor Aitken, he voted to remove the protected bike lane on the north side of Mallop Street and also suggested putting about 3 parking spaces back along here where there are thousands of off-street parking spaces on both sides of the road. Councillor E. Contell declared a conflict of interest and did not vote on the Southern Bike Link Stage 2.
Is carried. And I request Councillor Contell and Councillor Grisbeck rejoin us.
Councillor E. Contell has engaged with Bike Geelong, going for a bike ride around the city one Saturday morning, where protected bike lanes were discussed, but he did not seem to support a larger rollout, and suggested that education rather than protected bike lanes was the way to keeping kids safe from cars on the road. Mayor Sullivan in the Leopold ward, like the previous two, voted to remove the protected bike lane on the north side of Mallop Street, but it is unclear if he voted to not award the Southern Bike Link Stage 2 contract. Mayor Sullivan is one of the 4 vice presidents of the Victorian branch of the Liberal Party, and the Liberal Party endorsed a candidate in Melbourne that was running on a platform of "rip up the bike lanes." It is not known whether Mayor Sullivan personally endorsed the candidate, but one could speculate that as one of the 4 vice presidents, he would have been involved in the decision to endorse the candidate. When challenged by Bike Geelong on this matter, he did not respond. Mayor Sullivan has never engaged with Bike Geelong, apart from a scripted answer provided by city staff to a question from Bike Geelong at the August 2024 council meeting. Let's take a look at Councillor Nelson, who is running in the Barrabool Hills ward. He also voted to remove the protected bike lane on Mallop Street and moved the motion to not award the contract for the Southern Bike Link Stage 2. Let's listen what he has to say.
Yeah, this is a good opportunity for us to reset.
I think when he says reset, he means cancel, as nothing further has happened except to say that this motion he moved only resulted in the City of Greater Geelong handing back $2.3 million to the Transport Accident Commission instead of creating a safer, more people-friendly street through Belmont. Councillor Nelson has never sent a return email or engaged with Bike Geelong. Councillor Peter Murray from the Caninia ward voted against the alternate motion to rip out the Mallop Street bike lane, and he did second the motion to award the contract to build the Southern Bike Link Stage 2. But everything we've seen from Peter appears to support safer streets for pedestrians and bike riders. Peter has engaged somewhat with encouraging support for Bike Geelong. Let's hear a bit of what he has to say.
There's no evidence to suggest that the green spine is not working. And I think Councillor Mason's amendment is spot on, and I support you on that.
Councillor Sarah Hathaway was not present for the votes on the topics mentioned, as she was elected after these 2 votes. In 2020, when the majority of City of Greater Geelong Council announced their decision to rip up part of the green spine, she was part of organising a community rally in opposition to the decision, which ended up being cancelled a few days before it due to the COVID lockdown restrictions being announced. In a statement, Councillor Sarah Hathaway said, "Whilst I'm glad the decision to rip up part of the green spine wasn't carried out, having council roads taken into state hands isn't a great outcome either, as it removes it out of community hands. For the record, if I'm elected, I won't be advocating or supporting the ripping up of existing bike lanes, and will support seeking further funding to continue with bike lanes and safety upgrades across Geelong." Councillor Melissa Cadwell, running again in Cheetham ward, was not present for the votes and has had no real engagement with Bike Geelong. Councillor Elise Wilkinson, running again in Conowari ward, like Councillor Cadwell, was not present for the votes. She was booked to attend the Wheels of Change community event, but was unable to attend due to council commitments. When Bike Geelong asked a question at the August council meeting, support for our advocacy was given by either Councillor Melissa Cadwell or Councillor Elise Wilkinson, but unfortunately, due to technical issues, there is no video and we're not exactly who it was out of these 2. Actions are stronger than words, so no matter how any of these councillors try to spin it in their campaigns for re-election, you can see their true colours through their actions. In this video, we have just looked at sitting councillors that are rerunning in 2024. We will look at other candidates in another video prior to the elections. I hope this video wasn't too dry, but thanks again for watching all the way through to the end. If you support improved bicycle infrastructure, don't forget to subscribe and give this video a like. I'm the Bike Route Buddy, and I'll see you on election day voting for candidates that support bicycle infrastructure and modern transport options.